Warning, the Bob and Bob Show is not a news source. We are not in any way affiliated with media outlets, political parties, social movements, or extreme organizations. Please do not take this content to be true or accurate. Enjoy the show.
Coming to from the defiance of America. It's the Bob and Bob Show.
Hey, what's up? You're on the Bob and Bob Show. With me, as always, we have the bearded one.
Yo.
You can catch us on iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, Podbean. That's one of our favorites. What other ones are there?
iHeartRadio, the same one you forget every single time.
I don't know why I forget iHeartRadio, because they're awesome, so I don't know why I would forget them. But we'd like to welcome you to the Bob and Bob Show. You can check us out on bobandbobshow.com as well. Today, normally there's three of us in the studio, and Chops isn't with us today.
He's not here.
Nope, I think he's taking a vacation day or something like that. I'm not sure.
Something like that.
I think every day's a vacation to him, though, isn't it?
Probably. It'd be a nice way to live, I think.
Yeah, so, we are trying to destroy the people that are in the Matrix. Some people want to call them the leftist, liberal, blue hair...
Oh, man.
Whatever.
They're all in the Matrix, man. The righties are, too.
Yeah, they definitely are. But,
we don't play that game,
The left-right paradigm, they choose to act like one side's not in the Matrix, the other side is in the Matrix, or, if you even say Matrix, you're a conspiracy theorist, so...
It's a bunch of sheep in the field arguing about which farmhand is going to stick the knife in.
Yeah.
Well, they're both going to.
How dare you?
It depends on whose day it is at work that day, right?
Yeah.
Where you are in the line.
Yeah. Well, we've been arguing the past couple of days about a few things, and, I'm going to start off. We don't have any notes today. We're kind of winging it.
Yeah, impromptu.
And we're going to go to bi-weekly. We're not going to do the every Saturday thing anymore. We are trying to build the Bob and Bob Show brand up a little bit.
Yeah.
We have some studio stuff we have to do. I mean, we got to take it to the next level.
We got a bunch of other things brewing, too, but we'll tell you about that later on, I guess.
Yeah, so we are going to have to we have to work on the weekends. An extra, like, not Bob and Bob Show, yes, Bob and Bob Show. I don't know. We're going to just keep working like we always do.
Yep.
So we were having an argument the other day about breakfast and how important it is.
We're going to come into this argument completely unprepared. It's great.
We have no notes. We have nothing. We're just going to argue like a bunch of idiots. So, I think that's what we do anyway. So,
a lot of times, yeah.
Don't take what we're about to say to be the truth.
Or do so.
But you can, form your own opinion, and if you want to eat breakfast or not every morning, then that's up to you.
That's a personal choice, man.
So here's my thing, okay? Now, this stems from a book I read by Dan Millman. And the book was called The Peaceful Warrior.
He wrote a bunch of books. I don't know if people know that. If you are going to get into Dan Millman, it's great to do so if you need some self-help or whatever. But read The Peaceful Warrior first, okay? He's got a bunch of books out, but read The Peaceful Warrior first.
Yeah. It gets into, like, some meditation techniques and ways to run your life, and keep sane. It's
about inner peace in the face of any chaos.
Okay, so anyway, this is where my thought process stems from, is in that book, he's talking about nutrition and stuff like that. And he says that, you eat when the body needs to eat, when you're hungry. And you don't destroy yourself with a ton of food at one sitting, you know what I mean? So, for me, I wake up in the morning, I drink some coffee, and that's about it until I get hungry. And I don't get hungry until about 10 o'clock or so.
You can train yourself when you do or don't get hungry, though.
Well,
Dan Millman's not a biologist or a nutritionalist or a PhD or doctor of any kind.
Yeah,
well, he is actually a PhD, but not in...
Yeah, he has some background on
He's
a lot
a
of
psychologist.
Actually, there's a movie out that he did called The Peaceful Warrior.
I don't even want to watch it, dude.
Yeah,
I read the book. I have that in my head. I don't need the movie.
Yeah, the book was better.
Yeah.
But, okay, so then I did some other research showing that breakfast really isn't the most important meal of the day.
It depends on what you mean by important, though.
Well, I know you need energy to run up till lunch, I guess. But the thing is after you sleep, you're not really burning many calories when you're sleeping.
You go into shutdown mode.
So, I mean, you eat dinner in the evening, unless you're going to do some crazy workout after dinner an hour later or whatever. Overnight, you're going to actually, your fat cells are not going to be getting chewed on by your body trying to
that's
feed
when your
itself.
body repairs things.
So the next morning, the way I do it, I feel that you need to not eat right away, burn some calories a little bit, and wait till your body tells you that you're hungry.
Yeah, that's what you're used to doing.
Yeah, well, that's the way I run.
And that's, farmers have been doing that for centuries.
But a lot of people are like, well, you got to get up. As soon as you get up, you got to eat breakfast because you need energy for the rest of the day.
Well, it's not that simple, because here's the thing. Based on, I used to be a health freak. I know it's a surprise to anybody that's met me in the last 10 years or so, but I used to track in notebooks all of my macronutrients, workout freak, really strict about my diet, all that crap. Like, even the idea of eating a candy bar made me want to puke because it was way too sweet. Yeah, I was that guy. But, here's the thing about breakfast. It's called break fast. It's called that for a reason, assuming that you didn't eat dinner at 9 p.m. and go to bed at 9:30. Your body does have low blood sugar when you get up, even if you don't feel hungry. The best, as far as metabolism is concerned, I'm not talking about habits or anything like that. I'm talking about just your metabolism. It's good to get it started with some food within an hour and a half of waking up. It doesn't mean you have to stuff something down your throat as soon as you get up. And it doesn't mean, if you wait 3 hours, you're going to pass out. It just means for optimal metabolic rate through the day, if you eat within an hour and a half of waking up, it boosts your metabolism. There's science to back this up. It's, I'm not prepared to show it all because I didn't even know we were going to talk about this. But it's true. Do most people do that? No. I mean, we live in a world where obligations pull us away from our best life a lot of times. And if you're not hungry and don't feel like eating, don't eat. The whole point's to feel good, right? So,
well, what do you think about actually, eating small little meals periodically throughout the day?
Grazing? That's what the human body is made for.
Instead of grabbing you, let's just say you get up in the morning, you eat a banana, okay?
Dude, if you stuff your face and shoot your blood sugar through the roof, that does more damage than just not eating at all.
Yeah.
If you stuff your face at a breakfast buffet, you're doing worse for yourself than if you just didn't eat at all.
Yeah. Well, why don't we just eat all the GMOs, man? Just stuff your face with that.
And that changes everything, too, because the nutritional profiles and the macronutrients are different under the conditions of the artificial food that we eat. It's a real mess, man.
Yeah.
At this point.
Well, this is how you get a real stupid, retarded population.
It's one way. There's a bunch of ways. That's one facet of it.
Feed them a bunch of feces all day long.
Feed them out of a box.
Yeah.
It's our fault. We're going to talk a lot about individualism today, I think.
Yeah, do you?
If you have a crappy diet, it's your fault.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't matter what your lifestyle is. You probably chose that. Now, we're talking about generally here. There are people that are forced into certain situations under certain pretenses, and they don't necessarily have to be permanent. We can leave nuance aside for this. In large part, if you've chosen a lifestyle where you're eating out of a box or a bag every day and complaining about the food that's available, you're lying to yourself, because that's not all the food that's available. It's the food that's the easiest for you to get.
Yeah, it is easy, and if you got a family,
absolutely,
dude. If you're working 2-3 jobs and you're freaking,
you're working 10 hours a day, 5 days a week, you're working too much. First of all,
and you got 2 kids,
and I understand that because I've been working more than that for a long time, which I'm not going to do anymore. But I'm going to try my best not to. But you got kids to take care of. Kids need all kinds of stuff. They have sports. They need fed. Mm-hmm. The typical Western Middle American lifestyle is really bad for your health in so many ways. I mean,
well, maybe if I wonder what the jails feed people. I wonder if that's nutrient rich. I mean, are they just bringing in?
It's probably USDA guided, like nutrient rich, which doesn't mean anything because the government bureaucracies, the diet nannies that have been around pretty much since Eisenhower, have been so wrong about so many things because their information is based on which lobby institution is giving them all the money for research.
Well, I mean, in jail and prison, I'm sure that they give you portions that are just enough for your value to stay alive. Almost.
Probably. Then
You know
there's
what I mean?
commissary,
Yeah, well, then there's commissary.
and that's garbage.
yeah, and that's always like probably
It's
twice
gas
the,
stations.
It's probably like twice the cost or something.
Oh
and
yeah,
all
but
that.
I mean, the food that it is, it's the same crap you get at a gas station. It's garbage.
yeah.
It'll poison. You'll die at 55 if you live on that.
Well,
you know,
if we keep going at the rate we're going, incarcerating so many people over some dumb crap all the time,
Yeah.
and I'm not just talking about the marijuana laws and all that kind of stuff. You know,
all of it.
I'm talking about like just, I've talked about it a million times. You know, you'll get arrested for something, and who knows if you're breaking the law. But let's say you do accidentally, and they're going to charge you with the greatest thing they could possibly find,
Sure.
and then they're going to get you convicted.
It's up to you to whittle it down.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, then you go to jail, you come out, and let's say you got a felony, and you come out and it's stuck with you the rest of your life, or
Yeah.
however long it takes to get it,
and felony
off your record or whatever.
felony, you got caught with an ounce of weed or you raped an elderly woman. They're both felonies, and that's all people see is felony.
Yeah. Well, then you
The
get
umbrella it's nonsense.
you get out of prison, and you're caught with this felony. It's really, 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 really hard to find a good job to sustain what you're trying to do before you went to jail.
It can be. And you know what? Part of that is changing because there are so many people with felonies that they're like, you know what? I know a whole bunch of people that are felons. They're just regular people.
Yeah, but
So that whole attitude is changing, kind of like the tattoo thing.
I mean, they are regular people, but
Not all of them are.
all you're going to get mostly, I mean, I'm not saying that everybody, there is a select few that just don't resemble this criminal element, but you're going to get a junk job. You're going to get
At first,
it's
yeah.
going to be flipping burgers. It's going to be, trash.
Driving a truck.
You can't drive a truck.
Yeah, you can.
No, maybe.
Oh, you can. They hire the crap out of felons, dude.
Oh, for your CDL, you can.
Oh,
You
yeah.
can still have a felony.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Oh, yeah.
So you can go on the road, and make $70,000 a
Yeah.
year. Well,
But see, here's the thing. When you're a truck driver, you're still on the fringes of society by default because that's what your job requires is a lifestyle where you live on the outside with all the hobos and degenerates and you're there with them.
yeah, you're in prison again.
So they don't care.
yeah.
It's like throwing them to the Navy. Go ahead. You're still, you know what I mean? You're
Yeah.
still pushed aside.
Yeah.
You'll make, 50 to 100 grand a year depending on what your job is as a felon, but your life is going to suck.
Well, back to nutritional stuff. I like you.
Yeah, I wanted
If you
to go
don't,
back to
if you
that.
don't have the money, then you can't buy the good organic stuff.
There's,
I mean, they'll give you a food card or something, or welfare if you're under a certain threshold of income,
Right.
for you and your family. But it's only enough to buy the junk.
if you're buying food.
If you're buying, you're trading it for dope.
if you can, if you're in a position where you can acquire the space to do it, whether it's an urban setting or completely rural, you can still feed yourself. You just have to learn how. And it's been generations now since anybody really knew how to do that, unless you're in part of an extreme minority. And I'm not saying a subsistence farm is going to keep your belly full because those people go hungry all the time. I mean, my dad's got some stories about that, but we are in a point of our society right now to where our mindset automatically defaults to everything being society's burden. Whose job is it to feed you?
It's your job to feed you.
Exactly.
It's not the government. It's not the state.
It's not Kellogg's. It's not Tyson chicken.
Yeah.
We
You don't-
choose that.
Yeah, and it doesn't matter. And just because you work for somebody, also, I'm gonna get off a little bit and come back around. But just because you work for somebody, like a small business or something, doesn't mean that they owe you a percentage of the business.
Oh, you're talking about something totally different.
Yeah, but see, what I'm saying is your income. So you're over here and you're like, income kind of shows nutritional value in it. The more income you have, the more nutritional value you can have in your diet.
It tends to, yeah.
I mean, that's not always the case,
Right.
but, and you can't sit there and cry to your employer like you need more money when it's not demanding that, like if you see you're making this job is making like $2-3 on this job, right? And your boss is taking home like $2,500 and you're taking $500 home.
Sure.
And it's like a 3-4 day job.
Okay.
All right. You don't deserve $1,000.
It's not even about deserving. It's about what you've agreed to.
Well, you agreed to work for an hourly rate, and let's just say
If that's how you have it set
if
up.
that's how you have it set up, it's $500.
Yeah.
And that's what you're getting.
It's a voluntary contract, and it should be mutually beneficial. If it's not, either it's not the job for you, the job is not going to satisfy the lifestyle that you're aiming for, your boss is a piece of crap, or you're just not worth that much. Those are the realities of it.
Yeah.
It's all those things.
Well, that goes right into the nutritional thing, though, because if people are not making enough money, to buy the things they need that are nutritional for
Sure.
them, or grow it yourself, or buy the property to have the home to grow stuff on your own. I mean, all this stuff costs money.
Sure.
And, a lot of guys I see, they're just dumb, stupid laborers. And they don't pay attention to even what you're saying.
I love that video. I can smell the dumb laborer on you.
Yeah. I mean, seriously. What makes a dumb laborer really think that they're entitled to,
I love being a dumb laborer, man.
Well, you're not entitled to the big money if you're going to be a dumb laborer.
Yeah, I'm not a dumb laborer, though. I'm just a laborer. Yeah. I understand the agreement I made.
Yeah. Well, if you... I've worked for many companies over the years, and I know most of them that were honest. If I would always start out at the bottom.
Sure.
And I would work hard. I was always on time, and I worked until the job was done.
It's all about the value exchange and the agreement. But I want to say one more thing about biology first. We were talking about the metabolism thing. It's real quick, dude.
Okay, sure. Go ahead.
Like the human body, part of the reason we're so sick, beyond like chemicals that we use and stuff like that, or chemicals we use. Chemicals that are in everything that we deal with is obviously what I mean about that. But aside from all that, a lot of it's lifestyle and just the way we do things, our sleep patterns, our work patterns, our activity patterns. The human body is a hunter-gatherer. That is another way to say a scavenger. The human body is biologically set up to wander around and eat a little bit at a time as you find it. That is biologically how the human body is set up.
Yeah, not like mass quantities. I mean, what if you were to wander around and you're saying hunter-gatherer, what if we were to kill a deer? You don't eat that whole deer right now.
Well, chances are, if you're, because our bodies still are biologically pretty much caveman style. They are, as far as our metabolism is concerned, like the finer mechanics of our biology. So if you killed a deer, you're not the only one that did it. You're not the only one in that group. It was probably like 5 or 6 of you that cornered it and killed it. And by the time you split that up amongst everybody,
yeah,
there would be some left over. You might gorge yourself. I'm not saying you can't fill your belly or you'll keel over dead. I'm saying, eating, 1,500 to 2,000 calories per sitting at one, or even 1,000 calories in one sitting. Our bodies are not biologically set up for that.
Yeah,
They're just not.
So what you're saying is
300 calories every 2 hours.
You're saying
something like that.
The body is set up to
and constantly walking, low impact.
The body is set up to not overindulge itself.
Right.
It's set up to just, as you need it, you get it, and you don't overdo it.
Right.
That's the caveman style, because they didn't have a choice.
The activity is the same way.
They didn't have the mass production of food and assembly lines and fast food and all that kind of stuff.
I'm talking pre-agrarian even. Yeah.
So, I mean, obviously we can see across the globe there's people starving in some areas and people just overindulging and going ballistic on eating a whole freaking 6-foot round pizza or whatever. I don't know. If
you look at like cultures that have the longest living populations, like Okinawa, Japan, I think it's Okinawa, Japan, has the largest centenarian population on planet Earth. That probably has a lot to do with genetics, but their lifestyle.
Well, Fukushima's helping out their genetics.
Yeah, and everybody else
is
awesome. Right.
What the hell?
If you look at their lifestyle, it is one of simple food with high nutrient and low calorie ratios. They eat a little bit all day long, and they move moderately, like simple gardening and stuff, walking around.
Don't they eat a lot of rice?
Probably, yeah. Oh. But they don't gorge on it. I mean, a handful a few times a day,
Yeah.
It's a balance, man.
Well, nutrition is a big thing. I mean, there's a lot of situations where, we talk about the chemicals that are in the food and water all the time.
Yeah.
And some of this stuff you're like lied to, and you think that it's...
we're lied to about a lot of things.
Well, you're lied to, and it's supposed to be good for you.
Uh-huh.
And
like fluoride.
You sit there and, like Diet Coke. They thought Diet Coke was because you're trying to lose weight, and you know what I mean? And look how bad that is now.
Yeah.
It's causing all kinds of neurological problems. And
all them crazy chemicals, man,
and
that
it's
have no long-term studies
and it's
done.
like highly addictive, too. So people will... start drinking it, and they got to have like 3 or 4 of these Diet Cokes a day.
Yeah, I can't believe that.
They just got to have it. Like some of these people that just got to get stoned every day. You
Yeah.
know, you got to wake up, or these people that got to wake up, take a shot of Jaeger like you were talking about earlier today. Like,
yeah.
That becomes a norm for you, and now you're just destroying your entire system. You can't even think straight anymore with all that kind of stuff.
It leads to chaos.
And that is exactly where they want us to be. Can't think straight for yourself, overweight, can't fight,
Well-
can't do anything that you need to do to keep your freedom.
You have to be able to run the machines and pay your taxes, and that is it.
Yep. You got to go to your public school and be indoctrinated, and then you grow up with blue hair and you want to save the world, and you don't even know how to do it, and you just hate everything that everybody's doing around you.
Yeah.
And you want to blame everybody but yourself.
That's
and the
on
rest.
both sides of the aisle, though. It's all.
Oh, yeah. Well, we say it all the time. We take no sides politically. We only go for what is that is based in kind of liberty and based in freedom. And, we still have to have the survival. You still got to survive.
Objective critical analysis is the point.
Yeah. And look at it from every side of the coin here. I mean, it's a multifaceted, draconian, manipulative situation we're dealing with here. And you have to look at it from, they're hitting us from every level.
Right.
And you got to look at every level.
There's another thing, too. You were talking about it's usually, folks that are real poor can't afford to get the good food, this and that. And, there's a million ways we could go with this sociologically, like why are they poor in the first place, that kind of thing. Or maybe they're eating that crappy food because it's what grandma fed them when they were babies, that kind of thing. And all that exists. But there's other sides of that, too, like a traveling salesman type of person that might be pulling $100,000 a year, but he eats bar food every night because his lifestyle is garbage. And you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's where that job just takes everything, and he may as well be the poor dude that can only afford the dollar menu because he's eating off of it too.
Yeah. Well, what the real, everybody has to work to survive.
Sure.
Okay.
Well, everybody has to provide for themselves
For the
to
most
survive.
part, except for the ones that suck on the teat of the government.
Yeah.
But, we have to work. And the more you want, the more you work. And the more you work, the more you do not get to enjoy your life.
That tends to be the trap that we fall into.
Yeah, so you can't really do anything that you actually want to do, or, say you want to try to get out of this occupation that has you as a wage slave earner, and
Sure.
you're literally a slave.
And you've been doing it long enough to where it's like it's got your life on a perfect pattern, and it's really hard to break out
right,
of that.
and you want to change, and you want to maybe develop something of your own, be more innovative, be more creative, You can't. And if you do, you're staying up all night long, and you're a piece of crap at your job. Maybe you'll lose your job.
Yeah, we've seen that happen to a guy.
Here's
Luckily, his business is successful now.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. How in the world can humanity ever progress if it is constantly being bombarded by this wage slavery?
But what do you mean by progress?
I mean progress. I mean, even if it's transhumanism and AI, we've talked about this before. We know we're going to have to merge with robots in some sense, and we already are.
But there's a whole class that is working on that. It's not, Joe Dirt. You know what I mean?
Well, I get it. I'm not. See, what I'm saying is that, if you could take humanity, and I'm sure a lot of our listeners out there, I know that there's things that you would love to do rather than what you're doing right now.
Sure.
And I bet you it goes through your head all the time. You're trying to plan a way to get out of it, to move into what you really want to do.
That's probably that's a lot of people, man.
Yeah. And you never do it. Most people never do it. Some can figure it out. Maybe they get a little help from somebody, but for the most part, you're just going to be stuck in this dead-end piece of crap job. Yeah, you're making $70,000 or $50,000.
You got to jump off a cliff to do it.
Right, yeah.
And you might hit the ground and die.
Yeah. But see, this is what happens. And there's so many people, Bob, Mr. Bearded Bob, there's so many people out there that are highly creative and and really good with their hands or engineering or whatever, and they're using it to do something.
Dude, there's talent that will never get discovered.
They're using it for, they can't use it. They're too busy working.
Right.
And they never, the world never gets to see what they were capable of.
Right.
And that's what pisses me off, because all of this, climate change and toxins in the environment and all these problems probably could have already been solved a long time ago.
Yeah.
But now we've let giant corporate oligarchs take over, and you never get a chance to show your true colors.
Right.
And I think it's bullcrap. I'm tired of it, man.
Well, it's up to the individual to shift that for themselves, man.
Well, look, we go through thick and thin trying to get this show for people, you know. And we're trying to do it for our listeners. And we're doing it for ourselves, and we're doing it because we're trying to make a real difference.
Yeah, trying to get people to think.
That's it. Just think, because we're not telling you to take one side or the other.
Yeah.
We're just, we have our sides. Like, we are pro-gun. right now, I mean, if we had this utopia, this zeitgeist.
Oh, I'm always going to be pro-gun, dude.
I mean, but I mean, I really feel that we don't. If we could have a society where we don't need them, there could be.
That's never going to happen.
I know, not in our lifetime. That's for sure.
It's never going to happen at all.
But listen, if you didn't have evil men, okay,
Yeah.
but and I know your philosophy. There's always going to be evil men.
Yeah, everything is always going to be there. It's all that's natural law. That's nature's balance. It's all going to be there, man.
There's always going to be. Good
You
and
have to
evil.
have one to have the other. You
Well,
have to
it just
because they measure against each other.
It's
The
just-
goalposts might move.
It seems like good is always just never doing anything, or when they are doing something, it's like they are missing the point.
Well, part of that might be because so much of the information that we see and the news that we get, even from good sources, it's always negative. There's plenty of positive to report on. We just don't hear about it.
Yeah, well, I see. I mean, we're going to get into the climate change situation here. We're going to get into this, whether you're a climate change denier or are humans creating it, or
Climate change is measurable and verifiable. The climate is changing. The debate is in how and why.
yeah,
And what do we do about it?
yeah. Well, obviously, I think that if you fart, you have to pay $1.
I think that's a great idea.
Everybody, if you bust a fart, you got to put it in a jar, and then you got to turn it into the government.
It's the fart jar.
Yeah, and you got to turn it into the government. And I don't know. Some people I know,
I don't even give a skunk.
They're going to need a pretty big jar. Some of these people I know. So,
Yeah,
I mean,
probably me.
yeah. So you take this.
Wait a minute.
You take the fart jar.
Are these farts measured in volume or density?
Oh, so you're saying if it's a long. One
Everybody has to have a fart meter. It is a rectal implant, and it's got a little, like them wind meters that you hold up, and the little fan spins and measures the wind speed and stuff like that.
Oh, so it's a little tiny microscopic fan.
Yeah, but it's like them
In your
little.
rectum?
Remember them little things you would get like on the 4th of July? Them little whistles that were like, wee.
Yeah.
It's like one of those, but you shove it in your bung,
Oh no.
and it measures your fart for the fart tax.
So the fart tax. So what is it like? You got a 2-second fart.
That's transhumanism.
We got to bring it down. We got to bring it down to the second. So it's 5 cents per second
It's parts per million.
per fart. And then if you do 10 or more farts a day, it gets doubled.
Yeah, if you're extra farty. If you get sick, you're screwed. Forget about it.
What about the cows? I mean, you got to put one in their butts too. I
Cow
guess.
farts. You know what?
But don't put this system on any corporations though. Don't do that.
No.
Just because they need profit, and they got to keep people employed.
Well, I think that Greta, we're going to listen to that at the halfway point. I think she's talking to corporations. I'm unclear on exactly who she's addressing in her nice performative. Geez, I don't even know what to call it. It's very, very performative and silly, really, the way it happened. But
yeah, it seems like
it gets people's attention.
Seems like it was rehearsed and acted out. And,
Oh, yeah,
and somebody
of
wrote it
course it
for her.
was.
I think she wrote something like her opinion and her view, and then somebody came back in and said, "Well, make sure to use these percentages in here."
She is the child of actors.
Well, there's a lot of people that are falling for this crap, just like they fall for David Hogg's dumbass.
It's not necessarily her message that's bullcrap. It's the agenda that's driving it the way it is and where they want to go with it. That's what I'm going to argue with. We'll get to that. I mean, but
well, there's a big history now that we're seeing of, I guess, your control freaks at the top of the food chain here that are using it as a factor of control.
it always has been.
And I mean, this is it's the same old crap over and over and over.
Yeah.
But it gives us some content to talk about here.
Sure.
And the population wants to continue to freaking get their heartstrings pulled on and grab the left-right paradigm and Joe Biden this and Trump that and this idiot that and that idiot. I mean, these guys are a bunch of idiots. Every last one of them.
Yeah. There's a lot of idiots in charge of things, man.
Yeah. And
People need to stop appealing to authority and start.
And the other side, you got to listen to what they're saying. If you look at them, maybe they're an idiot, but maybe they're an idiot that's actually they're taking orders. Idiots,
Well, yeah.
They're like, don't say this, don't say that, but you can say this and you can say that, and let's send freaking some kids to talk on a podium. We're gonna spend $2 million on their little their little concert stage.
If you look through history, even relatively recent contemporary history over the last several decades or whatever, and the more you find out about these agendas and programs that executives put in place, the more time passes and the more this stuff gets analyzed and worked out, and the more it fleshes through, and it turns out often that these plans were not even close to what we were sold them to be.
Yeah.
It's
insane. It's insanity. Bob and Bob Show. This is the half. We will be right back. I was calling this girl Gretchen. What's her name? Greta. Here she is. BobandBobShow.com.
This is all wrong. I shouldn't be up here. I should be back in school on the other side of the ocean. Yet you all come to us young people for hope. How dare you? You have stolen my dreams and my childhood with your empty words. And yet I'm one of the lucky ones. People are suffering. People are dying. Entire ecosystems are collapsing. We are in the beginning of a mass extinction, and all you can talk about is money and fairy tales of eternal economic growth. How dare you? For more than 30 years, the science has been crystal clear. How dare you continue to look away and come here saying that you're doing enough when the politics and solutions needed are still nowhere in sight. You say you hear us and that you understand the urgency, but no matter how sad and angry I am, I do not want to believe that. Because if you really understood the situation and still kept on failing to act, then you would be evil, and that I refuse to believe. The popular idea of cutting our emissions in half in 10 years only gives us a 50% chance of staying below 1.5 degrees and the risk of setting off irreversible chain reactions beyond human control. 50% may be acceptable to you, but those numbers do not include tipping points, most feedback loops, additional warming hidden by toxic air pollution, or the aspects of equity and climate justice. They also rely on my generation sucking hundreds of billions of tons of your CO2 out of the air.
Yo, welcome back. Second half of the show. It's me and LB today.
Yep, we got our guy on vacation, so whatever. We're just going to keep going because there's a lot of things to talk about.
Impromptu.
I'm calling her Gretchen. Gretchen. That's what I'm going to call her. Yeah, because she's just Gretchen sounds like a crabby name to me, so I don't know. I'm going to say that.
It does, doesn't it?
And I keep wanting to say Gretchen, so I'm going to say Gretchen.
Well, almost every female German name is a crabby name. Male ones too. Well, anyway. Who better to put up there than a autistic teenage female who is the daughter of actors for this?
She's the daughter of actors?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, great.
So
I didn't even know that. How did you know that?
I saw it online. You see, there's all kinds of stuff on there about her right now. But
well, hold on now. If you start bashing her,
you're right.
Yeah,
why do you think they put her up there?
Because you're going to be the bad guy.
Because you can't make fun of autistics and you can't make fun of little girls, right?
No, you can't. Not at all. No.
Nice try.
Yeah. That's how they do it, man.
Right.
Pull on the heartstrings, and you can't make fun of people. They've been building up for this for a long time. So
yeah.
But
think of the children.
Economic growth.
Like children are the only people on this planet that have to live with it anyway. Her arguments are silly. She says she has to go back to school to be a kid. Do it then. Nobody put you up there. Well, yeah, people did put her up there. But she needs to take that up with Soros and whoever else is involved in writing her scripts and pushing an agenda through for a global power grab and taxation.
Well,
if she wants to go back home and go to school, she should do so.
Well, you know what really ticks me off is when I hear all these numbers, the increase in temperature and chain reaction, and she's throwing out all these numbers, and you can look at all the people that are giving you these numbers,
yeah,
and I'm sure they're trying to be as good with the numbers as possible, I guess. But them numbers can be obscured. The
Sure.
farther up the ladder it ends up.
Well, climate change is a real thing. It's an unsettled science.
Yeah. Let's get that straight. We definitely are not climate change deniers.
Yeah, climate change is real. It's verifiable. It's traceable. It's measurable. I've been saying for 10 years that where we live here in our region of the country, I feel like winter and summer are getting longer and fall and spring are shrinking. I've noticed that for a long time.
Yeah, me too.
Things are changing. Climate change has been happening since long before human beings were even here. The arguments are what is causing it? What do we do about it? Climate change is a real thing. So, but, she talks about stolen childhood and stolen dreams. She's the epitome of privilege. I don't even want to hear a word about that.
Yeah.
Nothing has ever been stolen from her. Her performative histrionics about climate change being the bane of her existence is, it's a performance. That's all it is.
Well, how old is this girl anyway?
She's a teenager.
We like 15 or something?
Yeah, like 16, something like that.
Wow, you've experienced a lot of life.
Right.
So
she's still
a
a kid.
lot.
Even if she is bright or whatever, she's still, it's silly. It's like the David Hogg thing. And then she goes on with empty words. Well, everything she just said, even though there is a message in there, most of that was just subjective histrionics. It's a kid throwing a tantrum. Those are empty words.
How dare you?
Yeah, right. Shut up.
How dare you, bearded Bob?
Right. And then, she's appealing. She's talking about policy. She's going right to the government. Everything government does is war. Everything government does is war. Everything they have is stolen from somebody, and everything they do is implemented through force. Government is war. She's going right for war.
She's going for the big government, the UN government type.
Right, a globalist government. The reason for that is because the people that put her up there are those people. It starts with the individual. If you really are concerned about this climate change thing, change your practices.
Well,
it'll be tough, but do it.
Yeah, we just talked about the economic factor in that, and it takes money for you to do that.
No, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Everything takes money and everything doesn't. You just got to find a way, man.
So just stop using Tupperware or something?
Yeah, absolutely. Start using glass.
Well, how long does it take for glass to biodegrade?
It doesn't.
It never does? Well, why would we use that then?
I don't know. I do.
I'm telling you right now.
I do.
It's not only carbon emissions that are causing global warming.
This is a lot more complicated than any of us understand, and definitely more complicated than she understands.
Definitely. But, there are factors that need to be discussed. I didn't hear not one solution come out of her mouth.
Yeah, she's leading to politics. She's talking about policy.
Yeah, and she's saying that
she wants war is what she wants.
Yeah, she doesn't know that, but
right.
That's what she's going to get if
right.
I don't know. How many people really give two craps of what she just said?
A lot of people do.
If you think about a
lot of people don't even know how to think.
If you think about the population itself, they probably don't even know what we're talking about. Our listeners do, but you know how many people decided to watch sports ball? Or they decided to watch a movie when that was going on, or maybe they were at work, Maybe they saw a little bit of clips over there on your local news station, or you watch, the horror media or whatever. But
if they're on social media, they're probably seeing all kinds of stuff. But,
the fact that she was going after some of these corporations a little bit, I like that.
Going after corporations is one thing, but using government to implement a tax, a global tax, is nothing but war. Well, that is a war.
She failed to mention anything about tax.
She's talking about policy.
Well, how are these government officials going to put this into play? They're going to tax you.
But meanwhile, Trump's been lifting all of these EPA regulations and stuff the whole time.
Right. And,
which I'm completely against.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It creates jobs. Now we have more economic growth.
Does it?
I don't know. I've seen different statistics everywhere. Who knows? Because they're all lying to us anyway.
Politicians don't fix anything.
Dude, if you take the regulations off and you let these corporations dump their crap into the ocean, dump their crap into our streams, blow smoke up into the atmosphere, yeah, you got economic growth, and you're driving a new truck.
Sure.
But, you have to keep the windows up and wear a gas mask now.
This is where we agree with what she was saying.
Yeah. Yeah.
Where we disagree is the solution.
The solution is not tax. How you think... So you're going to cry about economic growth, but yet you want to take money, because that's what they're going to do, is they're going to take money from us because of it. And how is that going to help anything at all?
Well, it's going to funnel more to the top. It's going to funnel more money and power to the top.
They
like
lose trillions of dollars all the time. Where do you think that trillions of dollars of your carbon tax is going to go?
Here's the thing. We live in a universe regulated by a natural law that requires fractal movement, constant movement. This is in everything physical and metaphysical. She talks about economic growth. Here's the thing. Without growth, movement stops, everything dies. The economy has to grow, keep growing. The minute it stops growing, it starts collapsing. It can collapse and become again after chaos and all that. It's just like the seasons on the earth. It's just like something dying and going back. It's all the same movement. You have to understand natural law if you're going to understand how anything will work or not work. Economic growth has to continue or collapse will result, period. And it's not even about capitalism, because if you look at like the socialist model, the reason they always collapse is because they're not sustainable. They need a benefactor. That benefactor is either the state engaging in trade with other nations, capitalism, or stealing from other nations, which is imperialism, or both.
You're forgetting about planned obsolescence too. This is how you keep the corporation running.
Well, that's corporation.
This is where your environment is becoming polluted. This is why they're blowing more and more smoke up into the atmosphere.
We live in a world of uber consumption. Stop being a brainless consumer. Stop it.
It's hard. We need a cell phone to communicate. I'm sorry. It's a good communication tool.
Stop upgrading your cell phone every time Sprint sends you an email where you're available for an upgrade.
Well, yeah, I hang on to my phone until I possibly can't hang on to it anymore. But
bring up scenarios. I'll tell you what to do about it. It's real easy.
The planned obsolescence is you got to update. You got to update your phone. Update your phone. You choose not to update because you don't want all this junk getting into your phone.
You can keep it for a long time before it gets to that point.
Eventually, that phone is going to break down.
Sure.
It's made by plastics and all kinds of nasty stuff that when it gets manufactured, the environment gets destroyed. Most of it comes from China, probably.
Yeah, it's a mess.
Yeah, well, why can't we make a phone that, is more biodegradable in a sense than what we have now? Why is it, like I have an iPhone 8 Plus right now. It's glass. Mm-hmm. It's glass.
That's good.
That's crazy.
That's good.
It breaks easily.
Does it?
Yes, I got cracks all over it.
Well.
And I even have an OtterBox on it.
Yeah, I don't know, man. There's some pretty tough glass out there these days.
I mean, I get it. Okay.
I want to go back to something she said. She said that she does. This is the naivety right here. And I know it's scripted. I know somebody wrote this for her. This isn't really her sentiments, even though on some level it might be. She says she refuses to believe that these oligarchs that are in control of things that I'm assuming she's addressing are evil. And that is laughably idiotic, because your entire address was about their literal evil. I mean,
well, you just help their evil,
dude. As long as oligarchs are waging wars, that's evil in itself. I mean, as long as oligarchs are keeping the pleb population underfoot, that is evil. I mean, the overlords are evil by nature.
But she's talking about climate change and them being evil.
She says she refuses to believe that they're evil.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah. Well, she's out of her freaking mind.
It's just rhetoric. It's brainless nonsense.
Even using the correlation of climate change and them being evil, that's only one aspect of it, because they kill millions across the globe.
Dude, just the industrial
with
food,
war,
right.
with everything.
Just the industrial food complex alone, the whole model is evil. It's despicable, man. And most people never even get close enough to it to see what it's really about. It's completely unsustainable, and it's evil. It is really evil. It's concentration. It's worse than concentration camps, man.
If she would have started off her address to the United Nations and she would have said, you globalists who wage war and terror throughout the globe, you destroy humanity with your oligarchical poisons that you use.
She wasn't saying that.
No, I know. I'm just saying that she should, and then she should have said, "How dare you?" after that. You know what I mean? But no, she went right after. Yes, it was a climate change thing, but you really needed to. If you really cared, you would have pointed stuff out right away.
She says that her generation is so screwed because of things that other generations have done. First of all, when has that not been the case? But she says that like she's the only generation here. We're all still here.
You took my childhood.
Yeah, that's so silly. I don't know, man. There's a message that got lost in all that gobbledygook. I guess gobbledygook is for the masses. It's not for me. The masses are pretty much dumb cattle anyway, and I guess any of us that are smart enough to see past that would agree with it, and some people will just get mad about it. But climate change is a real thing. We know that. We all know this. If you're denying that at this point, then there's probably a lot of other realities that you're denying.
You're
readily.
probably a flat earther.
Yeah, exactly. But the debate is to what our impact is and what we can do about it. The only thing I'm going to say is make better choices. If it's that big of a deal to you, mold your life around it. Whatever you got to do. Stop driving cars that are built irresponsibly. You know what I mean? There's
That's not going to do anything.
If enough people do it, it becomes a collective change.
Well, we've talked about this a lot. If enough people do it, not going to happen. Sorry.
And corporations should be regulated by government to a point where tyranny is shut out, not to where it just switches balance. We have to hold politicians accountable, which we don't. There's a whole lot of things that would need to happen. I don't hear her saying anything other than global government, bringing global government policy into
Yeah,
this.
that's all I heard. The whole speech, global
And
government,
that's
global government.
why she was put up there.
Yeah, New World Order.
Yeah, and that's the problem I have with it. That and the fact that they're exploiting a kid again.
That's the real problem. That's the real problem because they continually do this.
Because it's easy.
I mean, and then the public.
I mean, it's the effect it has on the public is perfect.
Oh
it's
God,
easy.
it's awesome because you can have a kid write some report about.
Can't criticize them.
You can have a kid write a report about how bad straws are for the environment, and then just ban them because
Right.
a kid started it, and now you got the whole opinion of the people of California. I don't know where else they're banning this crap, but
Right.
it just continues on and on and on and on. Using these kids to pull on your heartstrings, and you dummies out there, and I'm probably no dummies are listening to the show, but the
Well, there
dummies that
probably
are
are
out
some.
there, they immediately get a tear in their eye, and they're like, this is bad.
Well, I know some really intelligent people that just fall hook, line, and sinker for this kind of stuff, but they know better. They know better. They're dumbing themselves down
Well, you get them
because of feelings.
Yeah, and-
feelings.
I'm so heartbroken over this.
Feelings really don't matter at all.
Feelings don't matter.
I'm not saying you should ignore your feelings or shouldn't have them. I'm saying they really don't
Yeah,
matter.
still keep your moral values.
Right. They
But-
really don't matter. Even moral values aren't even, I mean, it's sort of connected to feelings, but not necessarily, man. Appeal to emotion like that is one of the easiest ways to control people. And if you can't control your emotions, somebody else will. And I see it all day long. Really intelligent people just farting all over themselves with their stupid feelings.
And well, you're talking about personal ways that you can contribute to the decrease in carbon emissions. Okay, that is a very small, minute way to try to combat what's happening. Okay,
But it's all an individual can do.
and neither of us know whether or not, or nobody knows whether or not what's coming with our climate crisis is really made by man.
Sure. We don't know.
Maybe it was coming regardless.
If it's not made by man, what are we going to do about it?
Nothing.
If it is made by man, what are we going to do about it?
Nothing.
We can act on our own is the first thing we can do.
Well, instead of going out there and be like, I'm going to plant a tree and I'm going to do this. And
Do
I'm gonna-"
that.
No. You know what? Go ahead, do that. That's what you want to do. Do
Sure.
it. But if you really want to make a difference, could you imagine if somebody like us were allowed to speak at the UN?
Well, we'll never be allowed to speak at the UN.
We'll never be allowed to speak anywhere but on our own platform.
That's fine.
And we'll never be able to address the nation on a news channel. They're not going to let us.
Yeah.
And that's where the problem lies. It comes from the media, it comes from the corporations, it comes from the government.
That's where the power is.
These people are the oligarchs. Whether or not the idiots that are sitting there with their bow ties on, giving you your newscast every day know it or not. Like the newscast lady I heard the other day, they had this camera going over Lake Erie or whatever, and there's freaking chemtrails tic-tac-toeing all over the place.
Oh yeah, they're all over the
And then
place.
the newscast lady says, we got some heavy jet comtrails today,
Yeah.
And does she really not understand that they're spraying chemicals?
Well, it's geoengineering. It's not classified. There's a million government PDFs that even Google will give you.
Yeah, so these are the these are the retards that are working. They're, this is compartmentalization. They really just don't know.
Yeah.
I think,
Sure.
I mean, if they went in there and told them, hey, listen, we're going to be doing some heavy chemtrailing today, and we're going to be spraying all kinds of aluminum and barium and stuff like that, and it's going to harm the environment, and we're just trying to combat global warming.
Yeah, we're going to harm the environment to stop harming the environment.
Yeah,
That's part of the problem with how humans deal
well, then,
with things.
are they going to really tell the newscast lady, like, hey, this is a bad thing, but just say it's jet contrails.
They're not going to tell her anything.
She's compartmentalized. She does not know.
Right.
And what happens when she does know and she goes to her producer and she says, hey, are these contrails?
She'll never do that.
Never do that. And that's
She worked too hard to get where she is to get blackballed.
Yep. Or if she did do
Same
that,
with politicians.
or she or he did that, the producer would say, no, just say it's a jet contrail, or don't say anything at all. Mm-hmm. And that's how it's going to be. And this is compartmentalization.
Dude, it works like that in police departments. It works in all institutions. It works like that in police departments. It works like that in the military. It works like that in corporate situations, and it works like that in political situations. All power structure institutions do that same thing that you're describing.
Yeah.
It's how you are forced to play along. They keep you dumb. If you get smart, you either play or get blackballed. And you have too much at stake. You've put your whole life into this thing. You're not going to get blackballed. You'll just play along. And when you're an old man on your deathbed or whatever, you're going to be like, oh, I was part of the problem.
Right.
Because I wanted my paycheck.
Yeah, too late now. Now you just destroyed the environment and you destroyed your children's future.
Sure.
How dare you?
Right.
Get out of my face with this crap. Here's the reality right here. If you want to make a difference, sure, plant a tree. We want to do the hemp game. There's some things that
I didn't know we were unveiling that.
Well, we want to. I thought we were going to talk about it a little bit because that does kind of cleanse the air pretty well too. So
yeah,
some of that carbon can get filtered out of there pretty easily. With hemp plants and stuff.
There's a lot of things hemp can do, man. There's a reason why the pulp paper, petrochemical, alcohol and tobacco industries all wanted hemp criminalized 100 years ago, and they got what they wanted. Yeah. Look what we've done with it.
Yeah.
Think of all the damage that's been done that would not have been done had we taken an organic approach from the start instead of letting oil money rule the day.
Yeah.
That's where I agree with Greta.
Yeah.
Whatever
it's not only oil money, but it's just corporate freaking insane people money.
Well, I say oil money because the petrochemical industry.
Yeah.
Dude, the petrodollar, the oil is king. Oil is gold today, man.
Yeah. I don't know.
It's going to be hard to kick it out.
In the old days, man, the environment really wasn't that big of a concern because it was just profit. Yes, we got a vehicle going.
Just a couple decades ago.
Yeah, Henry Ford starts putting the production line together. We have all the oil industry. We have the steel industry. We have all that stuff going on. And these guys are getting rich fast.
Oh, very fast.
The Rockefellers, the Carnegies, and then, you take it into the financial situation, the J.P. Morgans, the Rothschilds, these people immediately want to manipulate the currency. They want to manipulate you, and they want to make all the money they possibly can and take control of every government and every body of humans and control you.
These people / power factions are literal psychopaths. All you have to do is look at what they've done to confirm that they are psychopaths, right? And she's appealing to them to fix a problem that was created by them, that class. The political class is the elite class.
Yeah, just like it's the same thing. We were talking about the deregulation with Donald Trump, deregulating everything and acting. He's appealing to the average working Joe.
It'll bring you jobs.
Yeah, and in the economy,
you just tell people what they want to hear.
Yeah,
man.
and the economy it will be boosted. But what's happening is you just took those corporations, you lifted the regulations that Obama put on them,
right?
And now they can just rob and pillage and profit even more,
destroying national parks.
Yeah, so literally, Donald Trump just built up the control psychopathic freaks at the top.
Yeah, he gave them a lot more power and reach.
But go Trump, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's why I hate all of them, man.
Or Bernie Sanders, let's do him.
Yeah.
Socialism, let's just give everybody everything for free.
Let's create hyperinflation. Sounds like an awesome idea. It goes back to the log burning thing. Should people be making more money at the bottom of the spectrum? Yeah. But the idea that employers aren't just going to do this of their own accord, and if it has to be done through government, shows that that's war. Like I said, that means everything else in society has failed. So, and the other side of that is if you double minimum wage overnight, it's going to be catastrophic.
Oh, yeah, they're going to have to bump prices up on everything.
It'll be like trying to paint the walls of a room by putting a bomb in there that explodes paint. It's going to be a crappy job. It's not going to work the way you want it to. If you go in there with a brush and paint it right, it'll be right. It takes time. You have to maybe step up. If we have to have minimum wage laws, it has to be an incremental step up that won't just blast the economy with a paint bomb, man, because that'll hurt everybody, including these low-wage earners.
Yeah, well, if you put too many regulations on some of these corporations where they can barely operate, that's going to hurt everybody too.
Well, you know what? It depends on what the regulation is.
It depends on...
You know what? If a corporation can't operate without destroying an ecosystem, I don't want them operating.
Me neither. Well, you know, millions of people or thousands of people, depending on the corporation, will lose their jobs.
I don't care.
And then what?
Get a different job. You're telling me that's the only way you can make a living?
No, but
get smarter, stupid.
Immediately,
you know what I mean?
These people are like, yeah, if you're working in one of these situations where you know the company you're working for is destroying the environment,
right,
and also like poisoning humans or whatever.
I was thinking about that yesterday when we were doing what we were doing yesterday.
Yeah,
I was thinking about that. Well, can I say what we were doing yesterday?
I don't know. Depends on it, man. I don't know. What are you gonna say?
We were clearing some land for a farm.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
We were clearing some land for a farm yesterday, and we have pretty clear intentions of what we're going to do with this land. And it started popping in my mind, like all the rainforest clearing and stuff like that. And imagine being one of these guys in a bulldozer that is literally just destroying acres of forest as a living. And you're watching all that wildlife just get completely annihilated and displaced, and all that entire ecosystem just collapse. You have to be a psychopath to do that every day. You have to completely numb yourself out. If you don't walk in there as a psychopath, you will leave as one.
Well, we didn't walk in there as a psychopath, first off. And second off, yeah, I know what you're talking about. We were like mowing some land and there's little there was like mice running off and
all kinds.
We were
of
watching
stuff.
all these animals just run off into the but there's woods and other fields all around there.
Sure.
And at the same time,
it just got my brain going.
Yeah,
dude.
this was an overgrown field that we needed to get back in par here, and
right.
that same land that we're doing is that ecosystem is gonna come back. We're
right.
actually gonna make it better for the ecosystem.
Yeah.
Where right now it's just overgrown weeds and craziness.
Yeah, it's brush. It's been there for several years.
So
we don't even need to get into specifics of that. I was just thinking about that dynamic of you have to really not care to continue to do a job like that. So it goes back to what you were just saying about these people are going to lose their jobs then. Are they? How about if their corporation starts running things more responsibly and they can keep their jobs? Hold these psychopaths accountable. It's not about the employees. I mean, it kind of is. People lose their jobs all the time. And I'm not trying to minimize somebody losing their job either. What I'm saying is there are more jobs out there. You'll find something. If a corporation is destroying an ecosystem, they don't deserve to operate. I don't care how many people work for them. They either need to fix it to where it's responsible, and if they can't figure that out, they need to collapse.
Yeah, and then you know what happens if you take these regulations and you make them, if it has anything to do with destroying your health or the environment,
right?
You get heavily regulated. You get a 3-strike freaking thing. First strike, you get a fine. That's huge. Second strike, it's even bigger. Third strike, you're out. You can't operate anymore. There's no more license for you to produce. You can't do anything.
And a carbon tax is not going to happen because the only people that ever pay taxes or tariffs are those on the bottom, us, the plebs.
So here's what happens. So after, let's say you get your third strike,
it gets passed on to us.
Well, yeah, it does. They get hit with a $10 million fine the first time,
and then
$20 million, then the price goes up. $20 million, the price goes up even more, and then they're getting their third strike. They're almost there. Their prices, they're raping the average consumer. And what happens now? The organic side of it, the side that isn't polluting the environment, can compete.
Sure.
Because now these guys have their prices so freaking high.
That's price fixing too, though.
What's that?
What you're describing.
That's just you're destroying the environment.
I understand, but the one of the side effects of that is you're manipulating the economy through those fines to where it fixes their prices to where organic can compete. I'm just saying that's how it works.
Yeah. Oh,
That's
no.
where it slips through the crack. Like
Yeah.
the water comes through the cracks. But
It makes sense, but at the same time, you have to protect the environment.
Sure.
And you have to protect the health of human beings.
right, I agree with that.
So, I mean, as long as, they'll find a way to manipulate that somehow, I'm sure. But there needs to be watchdogs. It needs to be
yeah,
out there.
absolutely.
And they need to be transparent and open their damn books. I don't care about how much you paid for a toilet or whatever. I just want to know how much money are you putting into advertising your products that are and being made, and they're destroying the environment and destroying the health. Limit their abilities if that's what's happening.
Sure.
Limit their ways of producing. Like, you have to.
It's all about thwarting tyranny and power balances.
Yeah, and even if there is no climate change, I want to live a healthy life.
Listen, if a corporation is destroying an ecosystem, even if it doesn't affect the climate, it still needs to stop because it's a freaking tyranny, man.
Stop it. And stop letting Greta Gretchen, destroy everything and tax you. Think for yourself.
There was well, end of the show already, man.
It's the end of the show. I know I was sitting here like doing this with my finger.
Take it into your own hands. You're an individual. Start with yourself.
Use your freaking brain.
Educate yourself. Make good choices.